Welcome, everyone. Let's get started. Welcome to our module on meeting the needs of English language learners across learning environments. Today, we will be doing Course F, Scaffolding the Writing Process for our ELLs. This session is being recorded today, and it is presented to you by Solved Consulting. Solved is a CTLE provider, and every participant today will receive CTLE credit for attending this course. And at the end, I will give you some information about how you can earn more CTLE credits in the future. My name is Maura Musso, and I will be your presenter today. I am an instructional consultant with Solved, and I am also a professor of early childhood and childhood education at SUNY New Paltz. I am a New York State certified elementary teacher and certified literacy specialist. And I have experience teaching students from pre-K through adult learners. I'm excited to be here working with you for this hour today. If we can get started by just taking a moment and in the chat, just type in your name and the grades and or subject areas in which you teach, so we can see who is all with us today. Welcome to everyone. Oops. I see we have lots of different grade levels, content areas. We will be going out into discussion groups today, and it's nice to see that we'll have a variety of different experiences, different grade levels, different content areas to talk with our colleagues about. So I'm glad to have this opportunity for us all to be together and to talk about how we can best suit the needs of our English language learners in our classes. Just some norms to go over for our time together. I promise down here in start and end in time, I jumped right in at 1 o'clock, and I will have you out of here by 2 o'clock. My goal is actually to wrap up a little bit early because at the end, I do have a feedback form that I would love for you to take a few minutes and fill out for me. So I will try to get you out of here a few minutes early so that you can do this. And my ask of you really is that you take the time to really consider how the information that's being presented to you today can be most impactful to your students that you are working with. So really have your students in mind and share what's going on in your schools and your classrooms with your colleagues as we talk in our breakout rooms. The course we are working on today is Course F, Scaffolding the Writing Process for our ELLs. This is in a series of courses on meeting the needs of ELLs across learning environments. Courses A through E have been presented over the past couple of weeks, and we'll be beginning a new round of them starting back in again with Course A next week. So if you have missed any of the courses throughout, you can jump.
Why are you touching her head?
Next week and be able to get in and join us for some of these. And I'll give you some information about how to do that at the end. Our agenda today, we are going to be looking at the essential question, how can translanguaging scaffolds be used to support writing? And our objectives are, 1, plan for writing by understanding a lesson's writing demands. 2, identify opportunities to leverage home language and translanguaging in written work. And 3, leverage ELLs home languages by creating home language and translanguaging scaffolds. So that's a lot to cover in an hour's time. So let's get rolling here. I'm going to put a link in the chat to a note catcher document. And this will have you make a copy of this document. So this will be just yours, just for you to be able to record your own information in here. This document also has links to some of the readings and things that we will be doing in our breakout rooms. So if you can just take a moment and grab this document and open it and have it opened in another screen so you can work with it as we are going through. I'll put it in again because some more people just popped in. So we are going to start by just jumping out to have some small group conversations about language arts. So I'm going to put you out into some breakout rooms. And let me just put that link back in here one more time, just because I see some more people have joined us. We're going to go right out to some breakout rooms. And what I'd like you to do when you get to your room is we're going to be there for about 10 minutes. With your colleagues in your room, discuss the 4 language arts areas: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And then in your chart, in your note catcher, take note of the ways you typically teach, assess, or ask students to utilize these language arts skills in your content areas. If you do teach ELLs, make note of which language arts areas you would like to learn more about. So we'll go out to some rooms for about small groups for about 10 minutes. You should see in a moment a invitation to join a breakout room popping up on your screen. If you can just accept that invitation, it will move you to that room. Here comes that invitation on your screen. And then I will let you know when it's time to come back. Make sure you bring that note catcher with you. All right, it looks like the rooms have closed and everybody is returning to join us. So as we continue on, just kind of keep what you just discussed, what you recorded in your chart in the back of your mind as we go through. So in our next section, we're going to take a look at recomposing. And recomposing gives the opportunity for students to read or process information in one modality and then transform it into another format. It's a powerful idea that allows ELLs to develop grade level ideas in multiple ways without the heavy demand of language production. Recomposing is sometimes called from text to graphics and back again. And our quote here that we see on the screen tells us recomposing is simply reading information in one format and summarizing it in another format. For example, we might read a short biography of a famous person and summarize it as a timeline. This is recomposing paragraphs into a diagram. Or we could read a flow chart of an insect's life and summarize it as a written recount or explanation. This is recomposing a diagram into a paragraph. So recomposing can be used in many ways to support our ELLs in generating meaningful ideas while scaffolding language. So in the first visual here, we see the adult, the instructor, using visuals to help plan out ideas. In the second, we see recomposing visuals into oral statements. And in the third, recomposing oral or retellings into written pieces. So let's take a look at each of these a little deeper. So in using visuals to plan out ideas, visuals can be wordless. They can be written in the home language, in English, or in a combination of the two. These include pictures, sketches, diagrams, or outlines, or a timeline, table, or Venn diagram based on the text. Recomposing visuals into oral statements, students can create a visual flowchart, then retell it orally using sentence stems. An English language learner can present grade level content visually and then recompose it in their home language or in English. In recomposing oral retellings or summaries into written pieces, once students have used graphics to orally tell about the subject, the information can be recomposed into written paragraphs. So let's take another moment to jump back out to our small groups and talk about any experience you have had with the recomposing, or if you have not had any experience with this, how can you see yourself using this within your own classroom? So we'll jump back to those same breakout rooms for about 5 minutes. And you should be seeing that invitation pop up, and I will give you a warning to come back. Welcome back once again. As we continue on, I'd like to take a look at how we can use student-generated stories for literacy practice. So we're going to take a look at Rocco's Day, in which a student generated their story. So in using a student-generated story, the first step is to find something to talk about. This something would connect with the student interest, maybe using visuals, having students use words that they know, and scaffolding additional words for them as you worked through this discussion. The next step would involve choosing pictures for the story, putting them in order, and talking about the story. So again, going back to those visuals that you presented in step 1, and having the students put the pictures in order to how they would like to represent their story. Then the students using the pictures can dictate to the teacher in English. Step 3 is where we expand on the story. So students can look at the draft that the teacher scribed and reread it. The teacher can cut the sentences apart to allow for expansion. And the students are encouraged to add at least one more sentence to each picture. And finally, in step 4, the work is published. Publishing student work accomplishes several good things. It legitimizes student efforts. It reinforces the idea that writing is for an audience and not just for English practice. It creates something that can be recycled as a reading practice for other students, and it can be shared with parents. And if you use a tool like PowerPoint to create your book, then you can add the student's voice reading their story, which allows you to exploit the same language one more time. Next, we're going to take a look at a video on the writing recipe, essay structures for our English language learners. In your note catcher, there is a place for you to record any observations or questions you may have, or your takeaways from this video. So you might want to grab your note catcher open as we watch. And if someone can just give me a thumbs up in the chat to just let me know once I start playing this that you can hear the audio.
I teach ESOL, which is English to Speakers of Other Languages, and AVID, Advancement via Individual Determination, for 8th grade at West Ridge Middle School in Orlando, Florida. Today's lesson is about writing an introduction for a 5-paragraph essay, and it's called The Writing Recipe. And what it is more of a manipulative where students can see very specifically where the placement of an introduction, a first body, second body, third body, and conclusive can go. And when they have something big and tangible in front of them, it makes more sense. Because when students are just forced to write an essay, it really just doesn't flow, they don't have organization, and especially when it's not in their first language.
Dibujar exactamente. Pongo aquí, I want you to put this here, negro, rojo.
We first walked in and the students were to create the manipulative that was modeled for them already on the smartboard as well as in the middle of their table.
Ready? Watch. C'est très facile. Bam! Done.
We took 5 index cards and placed them in a specific strategic way that students can see. Black and black meant introduction and conclusion, and red, blue, and green meant the 3 forms of the body paragraph. And then we took out the prompt and we put the prompt onto the smartboard.
This is how you do your introduction. You ready? First sentence. Traditionally, students must maintain a certain grade point average in order to play sports. That's the first sentence in your introduction. Write it. Right now.
When they read it and then tried to make sense of it and analyze it, then we broke it down. And because they're English language learners, we wanted to make an introductory paragraph as simple as possible for them to make sense of what they really want to say in the body of the paragraph and to really make a very focused thesis statement.
So now we have to say, now write to convince. Who's going to convince?
Us.
So you're going to say who? Who?
We.
I. Come on up.
So we took the prompt and just basically manipulated the prompt, and we showed a structure or a little recipe that they would have to follow, just adding a few words and taking out a few words in order for them to make something of an introduction. And it really made sense to them.
Now we're going to put because. Da-da. 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 What's da-da, da-da, da-da? Raise your hand and tell me.
What you gonna write about what you gonna convince Dr. Camacho?
What you're gonna convince. Mwah, que bello. What you're gonna convince. And those things are the 3
Reasons.
reasons, exactly. And your 3 reasons are where? Where are the 3 reasons? In your paper. And they go reason number 1, reason number 2, reason number 3. Oh yeah. So do you need a buena nota para jugar or no?
Yeah.
Why? What are 3 reasons you need a good grade?
3 reasons. Ok, son 3 razones por las que tú quieres buenas notas para los deportes.
Es importante para buenas notas. It's important to have.
To be professional.
To be a professional. Perfect
I
answer.
right?
Of course.
Because to be.
You need to be.
Because I need to be professional.
Good. Esto va a explicar su primera razón. This will explain.
9 times out of 10, the students understand what's going on, but they're timid to speak in English because they're not ready.
Esto es su primera razón. This is your first reason. Now you need otra razón. Okay, understand? Okay, so now erase this and put a segunda razón.
Y la pongo abajo.
Allá, aquí.
The strength of using a second language, their language, not as a crutch, but as an enforcement of knowledge and understanding for them, that's where it's really great.
Si ella pudo leer en español, tú puedes leer en inglés.
Say that in English.
If you can read in Spanish, he can read in English.
Yes. Go for it. I want you to try. Lindo. We're here. Nos estamos aquí para ti. We are here for you. And I know you're tímido, but it's okay.
I speak 5 languages, and a lot of times I can use 4 of the 5 in my classroom.
Okay. ¿Cómo se dice esa palabra?
Through this.
Oh, you read in English. How do you
If the children don't get it,
how do you say this word?
I won't stop until they do.
Good. Good.
I needed to know that they understood it, so I assessed it on another writing prompt. Now say it.
I will protect myself and my personal
And my privacy. What are the 3 ways that you're going to do it? What did you say?
by posting non-negative pictures.
By posting non-negative pictures.
Protect my blog.
Protect your own blog. How? How would you protect your own blog? By doing what?
Put a privacy lock in
Put
it
a privacy lock on my blog. What else?
and be positive.
Be positive. Boom. You just did it on your own. Let's wrap it up.
Okay, guys. Ticket to leave right now. First thing, thank you. This looks perfect. I love it. Each of you need to tell me one thing you learned today. Yes.
Important big words that catch readers' attention.
Woo! Okay. ¿Qué tú aprendes?
How to fix it and how to make it my own.
How to fix it and make it my own. Oh, that's beautiful. Yes.
Today I learned, like when they give you a writing prompt, they already give you the conclusion. You just got to change some words and put your own words and you get it.
That's it. Introduction, conclusion, almost the same thing. And I know
These kids were doing self-evaluation about the learning process,
force yourself. Oh my God, that was beautiful.
which also was my own evaluation. Then I know what I need to focus on tomorrow.
Say it in English. Force yourself. Good, because I think what he was trying to say to us is that we need to force ourselves to speak English. Because he didn't want to speak in English. He didn't want to, but we gave him options to do it, and now he read to me in English 3 times. Isn't that gorgeous? Thank you, my love. You are the reason I teach. Tú es razón por qué yo soy maestra. Thank you.
So it's a very powerful video on how to use this writing recipe to structure essays for our English language learners. So as we move to our next activity, we're going to bring any of those observations and questions and takeaways
I teach ESOL, which is
that you recorded in your note catcher to also discuss when we go to our breakout rooms for this next activity. So our next activity will return to our groups and our breakout rooms. And in your note catcher, under activity 4, you will see a link to an article, Scaffolding Language and Writing Practices. What I'd like you to do in when you get there is just take a minute and scan this article. Then choose anywhere between 1 and 3 practices from this list presented to you in the article that you may want to try in your classroom and record them in your table for yourself. Then discuss with your peers in your breakout rooms your why. Why are you interested in this? How do you think this will help support your students in your classrooms? And how can this connect to what we just saw in the previous video? So we'll jump back out to our breakout rooms for about 15 minutes for this reading and discussion. So once again, you are going to get an invitation to join that same breakout room. And you can move yourself there, and I will let you know when we have about 2 minutes before we return. Once again, welcome back from our final breakout room session. We'll give people just a few minutes to close out their discussions and pop on back. And it looks like all rooms are back. Wonderful. So more and more, it's becoming common for schools to serve students who don't speak English as their primary language. Thankfully, there are many technology tools that can help bridge that gap and help increase communication and understanding. Just take a moment to look at some of the Google tools that help us support our ELLs. So these resources can include Google Docs with translate features and add-ons, Instant Search Translate, the Google Translate website, and Translate extension, Docs voice typing, reading and writing for Google Chrome, summarization tools, and screen recording tools. So if you're not already using technology in your classroom to help support your students, you may want to go back and look at some of these and see how you could use those within your classroom. Close today with a video of an English as a new language teacher in PS 126 in Manhattan, describing how her elementary and middle school bilingual superheroes translanguaged as they created autobiographical graphic novels. So let's take a look.
My students speak Taishanese, Fujianese, Fukienese, Mandarin, and maybe one or two others, but most often they speak Mandarin together.
Hey teachers, welcome to Teaching Bilinguals, even if you're not one. I'm in Manhattan, Chinatown this week at PS 126, a K-8 school, where English as a new language teacher, Miss Ballantyne Berry, has been harnessing her students' bilingual superpowers by teaching them to create graphic novels. Let's take a peek inside.
I love graphic novels. I love reading them with students, in particular English as a new language learners, English as language learners. So with my lower grades, my third grade students, I read Luke on the Loose as a second graphic novel that we read together. With my older students, 5th, 6th, 7th graders, I read American Born Chinese with them. It's a little, linguistically, it's a little above their levels because they are newcomers, but because it's a graphic novel, it's really rich in pictures. And one of the characters is the Monkey King, and it's a story that the Chinese students know as part of legend and history. As I was reading the graphic novels, the students really were into them, and that made me just get really excited.
Who doesn't want to be their own superhero in a graphic novel, right?
We first started with notebook writing, and the students had to write a checklist that I had created for them. They'd copied it into their notebooks, and it had all the different things that they needed to write about.
I noticed this part's in English and this part is in Chinese. How did you decide, or how did they decide what to do in what language?
So their likes and families, different family members are things that we've already talked about in part of our units. When a student writes in their home language, it's them trying to express themselves, and to just even at least start with that is very beneficial for them because they at least can get their ideas across even if you can't read it, and then use that as like a springboard to like, okay, now let's focus on where we need to build their English skills. They have their introduction page, they went into their likes and dislikes. This, for example, went into like, I like to read, I like to play with my friends, and here reading, she used a speech bubble, and here she's not talking, so she used a narrator box, and that was really fun. And then when we get to her writing about her home, again, she did I am from China because it was a prompt. And then she was allowed to write in Chinese and then drew about it. And then that's where I'm able to start figuring out a little bit more of what she's writing. So this is an older student. He just likes being silly, and one of his favorite words is banana, but he doesn't say it like banana, and he intentionally says banana. And when we get into the I lived in China, he said there have very much good food, but China school have very much homework. I don't like homework. When he was talking and planning, he was speaking a lot of Chinese with the other students. And then when he would write something funny like this and I like this, then he would say things like that in English. Or if he thought it was good, he would like show someone and he would say it in English.
But then he decided to actually write, this student decided to write the whole book in English. Why is that?
I think it's just his way of trying to step his game up to the next level.
To recap, during our visit to Miss Ballantyne Berry's class, you heard her mention a few ways she's used students' bilingualism as a resource. In her graphic novels project, she drew on culturally relevant mentor texts. She encouraged students to use English for things she's already taught and home language to facilitate their expression of deeper ideas. She also opened up space for students to process ideas out loud to themselves and peers in whatever language came naturally. She proves that you can teach bilinguals even if you're not one. Join us next time.
So that video brings us to the close of our time together today.
My students.
Oh gosh. So some information for you as we do some wrap up here. As I'm talking about this, I'm going to put in the chat for you a link to our feedback form, which I'd love for you all to grab from the chat and fill out for me. If you are interested in earning more CTLE credits, the screen that is up now has QR codes to help you sign up. We will be beginning next week again with course A if you have not taken that. For a synchronous class like what we had today, you can click on the QR code on your left. And for an asynchronous class, you can click on the QR code on the right. A recording of this workshop will also be posted for you. When you get your CTLE credits, it will be emailed to you within 24 hours of the completion of this course. So about this time tomorrow, you will have it. You will also get a unique referral code that is tied to you. If you give this referral code to your colleagues and any 6 of your colleagues use it when signing up for any of our synchronous or asynchronous courses, you will automatically receive a $50 Amazon gift card. So again, you're going to get a unique referral code that ties it right back to you. And so if you pass that along, you can earn $50 to spend in your classroom. Again, I put that survey link in the chat for you. I would love for you to just grab that and just share your feedback on this course with us. So just if you can click the link in the chat and take that with you as you go, I would very much appreciate that. If you have any comments or questions that you'd like to close with, feel free to unmute or ask any questions in the chat. And if you have any questions or concerns about your CTLE credits, please reach out to admin@solvedconsulting.com. So I'd like to wrap up our time today. We are about 5 minutes early so that you have time to complete that survey form. And I will hang around in case you have any questions or comments. If not, just be sure to grab that link as you go and enjoy the rest of your day. I hope to see you back here again soon.
I have a quick question. Does it matter if we use on the Google form that you just did for the survey, if we use if it linked to our personal Google rather than our work Google?
You do not have to worry about that anymore. They got the glitch taken care of, that now you can receive your credits to your school email or your personal email. If you want to put an additional email in there so that we can send it to both places and you have a backup, that's fine. But it is no longer necessary.
Thank you so much.
Of course.